What is going on, guys? We are back playing some more Surviving with Thermal Expansion. Today, guys, we are going to be setting up the production of Grassoline. Now, I know that sounds like a funny name. That actually is the name of what we are going to be producing today. You can see it right here, Grassoline. It's a nice kind of, I guess, lime green color. And I guess you could kind of call this just biofuel. That's kind of what it is similar to, since you're using a plant-based substance that's essentially turned into mush, and then you're making it into some form of fuel. Now, the reason that I have not discussed this before, and the reason that you might notice when I'm searching for thermal expansion, there seems to be a little bit more stuff here, is because I went through, and before today's episode, I updated all of my thermal expansion files, and there are quite a bit. You got to do, you know, thermal cultivation, thermodynamics, thermal expansion. There's one other one that I can't remember, and then you've got to do the redstone ones and the, you know, all the base mods. So it was actually a fairly big set of updates. And so I did that today, and it added a bunch of stuff. Now, I didn't go through all the change logs to look at, you know, when certain things were added, but roughly in the last month, I would say, you know, all these things were added in here, whether it's new liquids that we can use, new augments that we can use, some new machines, all that good stuff. But I thought we'd mess with some of those today, and I know we are constantly going over new things that will be generating power for us, and, you know, we probably don't really need all the power, but every time I see a new one, I think, you know what, this one's better than the next, and I think this one may actually be, you know, sort of the end-all be-all power source, because with thermal expansion alone, we're very limited in terms of how we can automate stuff. And if you guys have been on my channel for a while, you know that I like to, you know, completely automate things. So right here with the Phytogrow setup, this is fully autonomous. We don't need to do anything for this. Granted, you know, sometimes I might have to get in here and shift some stuff around because, as you can see, it's, you know, it's sort of full up on pulverized charcoal, but other than that, we don't need to do anything, and we will just build this up. And now that's a little bit different than the setup from last episode, where we need to come over here and constantly put in coal. Obviously, if you had other mods to work with, that wouldn't be an issue, but we don't, and so to make a fully automatic power setup, we kind of got to fiddle around with some things. So, the reason this works so well is because cacti, or I guess you could say cacti, are a plant-based substance. And so if we look at the recipe for Grassoline, it comes from biocrude, and then that comes from pulped biomass, and that comes from, like I said, all these plant substances. You got melons, wheat, potatoes, lots of things that you can farm, sugarcane, saplings, lily pads, you know, pumpkins, beetroots, vines, and then carrots and cactus. And so the reason I picked cactus is because while we could make plenty of these other things that we can farm very easily using some of our Phytogrow, we don't need to use that for any of the, you know, any of the cactus. We can make a regular farm, and you can make it really efficient and really big, and it's basically, you know, it costs almost nothing. And so we can save all of our Phytogrow, and we can automate this setup and get plenty of power, just like we did in the, I believe it was the IC2 series. We had the whole biofuel setup, and that was great. That was our main power source, and you know, it worked really well. And so we're basically going to be recreating that today. So I apologize if it seems sort of rudimentary setting up the cactus farm and all that, but we're going to do that at the beginning, and then the rest of the setup should be pretty simple. So if you want to skip forward and get rid of, you know, all the crafting and, you know, creating the cactus farm and all that, perfectly fine. I don't blame you. I've done it plenty of times now, and it's sort of a pain, but we're going to do it anyway. So I already crafted the fractionating still in the magma crucible because we're going to be using those today, but we've crafted them so many times. I'm pretty sure if we look at this wall right here, we can see at least 2 of each. We got the magma crucibles all over, we got one there, we got one there, we got the 2 fractionating stills, and, you know, they're everywhere. So I'm not going to craft those over and over and over again, but we do need to craft one thing that we have never messed around with before, and that is going to be the sawmill. And that's the first step in this process. So we need to make the saw blade. And you know what? Let's see. Let's do a little challenge today. Let's see if Rage can craft all of this from memory. Okay, because obviously I go through whenever I'm in a creative world, and I set this up, and I look at the recipes, and I see what we're going to need. So let's see if I can do it from memory. Here we go. Classic. We got to make the redstone reception coil. Why is that a new recipe? What? Okay, whatever. We've 100% crafted that before, but okay, I guess maybe it had to do with the fact that I had to do a bunch of updates because Forge had to be changed, everything had to be updated for this. I don't know. Okay, what am I forgetting here? Oh, this is it right here. We got the copper gears. Okay, okay, everything's popping up now that we've crafted before, so I guess we got to go through these achievements again. Not that I really care about the achievements themselves, but it's just a little bit annoying when they keep popping up. But there we go, we got the sawmill. That is an achievement that we actually should have gotten because we have never crafted this before. I've never really seen a purpose, but now we've got everything that we need for today's episode. And all these kind of miscellaneous things are just for the cactus farm. It is nighttime out, so we should sleep. I don't really want to die. I've been getting attacked a lot by baby zombies, and those guys are such a pain to deal with. I don't know if I'm fighting them wrong or what. I should probably make an actual weapon, but yeah. So this is the area that I've cleared out. Much, much easier when I've got the infused hammer. And of course it's bugging out with the recharging and everything. It starts like flickering in your hand until it's fully recharged. But we're going to be putting it in here. I don't really think this is an optimized space or anything like that. But I don't really mind. I'm not trying to optimize it on camera today. I'm just trying to get it set up so that we can actually use it. So what we're going to do is place this down here, and they should come right into the center here. And this is where all the stuff is going to end up. I wanted it to be lined up perfectly with this wall. And by the way, yes, there was something here before. The reactant dynamo, I am moving that, but I let all the power drain out of it and everything was good to go. So I broke it, and we will move that somewhere else later on. But what we're going to do is put down here a hopper, and then we are going to run that back through here and up, and that'll be our system. And that's how it's going to get into the house. And we'll use some of these nice pipes from last episode so that we can kind of circumvent the need for both item ducts and hardened flux ducts. And we'll just put the signalum plated item ducts through here. So we'll do that. And it really doesn't actually need to be signalum plated out here, now that I think about it. So we can just put regular item ducts out here to carry it through. And the hopper, oh, it looks like we are one high here. So we got to go down one more. You know what, we'll just break this right here. I don't really care if we have to replace that. I like having it there. It's nice and fancy, but it doesn't really bother me if we have to get rid of it for the time being. So get back up here. Oh, and I forgot we broke that, so we're going to have to place that back down. I was trying to avoid breaking that, but kind of forgot. So there we go. And now we got to put the sign back down. So I think for the time being, we'll just put some cobblestone there and put the sign there. I don't really think we need the sign. I've never really dealt with hoppers with water running over them, but I'm going to put it there anyway. It doesn't really matter, I don't think, but now what we can do is, I'm not going to fill things in with water just yet in here, but this is 8 back, so the water should run perfectly to the edge and just dump it in this stream. And now we can actually start setting this up. Now, the way I'm doing it is using the oak fences. You can do it a lot of different ways. I watched Izumavoid's video, and I think this was one of the more efficient ways, if I remember correctly, from last time when I was setting this up. But yeah, so let me see how I want to do this. So we're going to go up here, and then I think if I remember correctly, I want to go up again so that it's off the water. And then if we're going to set this up in the most, I guess, classy way, we're going to use the cobblestone slabs, and they're going to be upside down. I don't know why I just broke that there, but we're going to come out here. And the last one's going to be here. It's a little bit awkward because it's at the end, but if it wants to fall on the other side of this, that's fine. I'll sacrifice that one instead of making this one longer and having to deal with all that. So we'll do that, and then each one is going to come like this, and we just kind of got to go with the flow and break these as we go. It's a little bit of a pain to set up. I'm never a huge fan of these, and that's why I will be expanding this if I do off camera, since I really, really hate, especially it's the same as mob farms when you're making those. When I did that in the immersive engineering series, and I ended up making it pretty big, or in the I think the biggest one that I made was in the mechanism series. It ended up being a really big pain to keep expanding, whether it was, you know, having to get a bunch of cobblestone to do it or actually building it. All those things were a pain to do, and it ended up being really worth it in the end because it was super useful. But honestly, it was horrible to do because I had to put in so much time off camera, and then you have to come and prep for recording a video, and it's, I mean, you're doing stuff so frequently. But obviously we place these upside down so that when the sand rests on them, it looks not super weird. If you put them, you know, on the other half, it could still rest on top of it, but it looks really weird because there's just an air block in between it. But there we go. And now what I want to do first, and the reason I have this dirt, is before we put the cacti down, we're going to place this dirt down. I don't really think we need to place one down on every block, but we're going to place down the fences. And so I'm going to do them on, how do I want to do this? What side? I guess I want to do it in, if we do it in the middle, we can avoid doing the most. So I guess we'll break that there and we'll do it in the middle. So we'll go like this and then go up one more, and we can just place down the oak fences on the side of these like so. No! Oh my gosh. Okay, you know what? We're totally standing on that block. I just got gimped there. Unfair. Unfair. Okay. Anytime I say unfair, and I hope people can actually relate to this, but I always think of the SpongeBob episode. And I know, it makes me sound immature, but I always think of the SpongeBob episode where they keep saying, oh, we need to actually do this first, this side too. Where, I don't remember the beginning of the episode, but it's SpongeBob and Squidward go on strike, and they're making the signs for like the picket signs. And while that scene is really funny, I think the best part is when SpongeBob's like chanting, oh gosh, no, he writes on the sign funfair instead of unfair. And then he starts doing the chant that's like, Mr. Krabs is in there, standing at the concession, plotting our oppression. I think that's like the funniest thing ever. If you guys haven't seen that, if you guys haven't seen the early seasons of SpongeBob, I would highly recommend watching them. I actually went back, and of course, I am 21 years old now. And I went back with my roommates whenever we would get back from eating dinner this past year, and we would watch the old SpongeBob episodes. Because, honestly, it's the greatest thing ever. It appeals to all ages. So, shameless placement for SpongeBob. But, thankfully, I think we're almost done here. We just got to put down the cactus itself. These should be enough to actually break everything. Yeah, so when it grows, obviously if you don't know, when the cactus grows, it can't have a block next to it. So because these are there, it'll break, and it should help knock them down so that they don't run into other cactus and end up getting destroyed. So there we go. Now we got to place down the water, and we should be all good. And I know this is a lot of just kind of on-camera random stuff and kind of random talking, but hopefully it's not too bothersome. I know a lot of you guys always say that you want to hear me talk about stuff more on I almost said on stream, on video, but other people just want to come in for the content. Someone posted on one of my videos, and admittedly, I did get a little bit, I'd say, butthurt about this, but it was one of my old IC2 videos, and they commented on how it took me an extremely long time to get through what I was trying to do, and I could have saved so much time if I hadn't shown on camera a bunch of the stuff when I messed up, like breaking a machine or something and had to recraft it. And my response was just like, you know, it was really long-winded, but it was like, you know, why do you have to be a jerk about this? Like, you know, when I put in the time and effort to make the videos and everything, and I just, you know, want to be helpful to the community, and the person was so very rude, and it just was one of those things that bothered me. So I try my best to kind of, you know, keep everyone happy, but sometimes it is very hard to do. So I apologize to those of you that don't really want to listen to me ramble on, but now we are finally at the part where we can set up the machines. So maybe I'll put like a little annotation or something so people can hop to here if they don't want to hear me ramble about SpongeBob. But the first thing we need to do is extend, and we're going to do the signalum plated item ducts all the way up, because all these machines are going to need power, and we're going to start from the ceiling. And that is where we're going to be putting down the sawmill. Now, the funny thing about this, and at least I find this comical in sort of a haha, it's unfortunate way, is that the only thing that actually needs to have anything related to, like, you know, items being transported is the top one. So it's sort of useless having these item ducts here that'll connect to the other two blocks, and it would be nice if, like, you know, we had to pull stuff out of this and send it somewhere else, and we could do a bunch of filters and things, but we actually can't. So it just kind of feels bad. Obviously it's nice because it's simple, but kind of feels bad. So we're going to do that, and then the fractionating still is the last step before it actually gets turned into power, and then the magma crucible is the middle step. So I'm putting all those down now just so we can start configuring this, because I personally have not actually messed around with this until really now on camera. So what we're going to do is have the cactus go in, and that's going to come in the back, and the pulp biomass is going to go out the bottom. And there's no secondary product, which is really nice. So red on the bottom, and everywhere else there's nothing, and then we got to put blue on the back, nothing on the top. So it'll come in, it'll get converted, power will still go in the back, and then it'll get spit out the bottom. Now the magma crucible has to have it come in the top, so that's good, and then nothing out the back, and then we want the bottom to be orange, and again, there should not be any, I guess you'd say, secondary output from this, and then, of course, there isn't one anyway, and then it's going to go into the top of the fractionating still, and get converted into Grassoline. And so, like I said, it's very simple. Obviously, the majority of the video was just kind of me rambling. So what we can do now is I'm going to come and grab, using my wrench, my crescent hammer, I'm going to grab, which one do I want to grab? I always grab these so that Here, I'll grab this one right here. Just so that I can easily power these and get them started. Just because I don't think there's power anywhere else that's going to be going into these. So what we can do is... I don't want to do this. Maybe I'll break this for now, and we'll just put it right there, and it should start charging this up. And it's probably not set to output. Of course, the one side that's hooked up, it was set not to output. But what we can do before any of the cactus from our setup actually gets there is we can put this in. It'll take 4 at a time, and I actually find this funny how if you look at the kind of ratios of what it's costing to make, it costs a lot more, it seems, from other things to make than cactus. Like, I don't think 4 cactus should equate to 4 melons. You know, maybe it should, but it just seems to me that it's so much easier to farm cactus than it is to do 8 wheat, 8 potatoes, 8 sugarcane. It just seems so much easier. But as you can see, the sawmill's running very fast. I haven't really looked into what augments we can add to these, but yeah, it's going quite fast. The magma crucible burns through this also quite fast. And then when it gets down to the fractionating still, again, this one's not as fast, but it is still extremely fast. But these two are very, very fast. I'm assuming the fractionating still will be our, sort of our, what would you call it? Oh my gosh, I'm spacing out right now. Our bottleneck, that's what it was. But you can see we've already got 300 millibuckets of Grassoline, and if we look at the uses for the Grassoline, again, I don't know if I already mentioned this, but it goes in the compression dynamo, which of course we've used a lot recently, but it's going to generate 800,000 RF. Now, I think we have one outside that we can reference, and hopefully nothing spawns while I'm out here. Where's the compression dynamo here? Let's look at the recipes. So if we look at the recipes, we are getting much less than refined fuel, a little bit under half, but it's fully automated. So unlike our refined fuel, we're not having to constantly put coal in, and of course, here's a guy that needs to be killed. Okay, I definitely should make a weapon, I guess, then. But yeah, so let's get back to looking at this. So compared to a lot of these, you know, the more expensive fuels, it is, you know, sort of, it's kind of meh in comparison. You know, naphtha, it's very close to. And then, of course, it's way below refined fuel. But everything else that's higher than, even, you know, liquefacted coal, or where is it, crude oil, tree oil. So it's better than our other setup that we had earlier in the series. So honestly, I think it's going to be a great setup, and I'm interested in seeing, and I know I always say this, but specifically for this one, I'm interested in seeing how far we can take this. Obviously, you know, setting up a lossless, huge farm for the cacti would be great, but I don't know if I'll do that, but I definitely will add some layers back there so we are constantly getting a steady supply. My ideal goal would be to have this system running, you know, more than half the time I'm on here watching it, so have it running more often than not. That would be ideal for me. I don't know if I'll be able to make that happen, but I think that's going to be it for today, guys. I'm not actually going to set up the compression dynamo just because I do want to fiddle around with some things in the base in terms of what's going on with the wiring below here, and I don't really want to do that on camera, but I do want to say thank you guys so much for all the support with the Buildcraft series. Just a heads up for those of you that are watching both series and have stuck around until now, Buildcraft for, I guess it's Buildcraft 7 for 1.12 is still an alpha, and the reason it's an alpha is because there are a lot of things specifically related to the robots that have not been ported over yet, and the big issue is the robots kind of help with the automation for pretty much everything. So while that series will still be running, I'm going to try my best to kind of space out the episodes, mainly because I want to hold this over until hopefully the things that are kind of more exciting get ported over, and we're not just taking a really long break after a bunch of episodes waiting for all the stuff that I want to mess around with to actually be available. So just a heads up if you're wondering why those episodes may be a little bit more few and far between, that is the reason. And also, if I seemed like a little bit of a space cadet during today's episode, I'm extremely tired. Work has been very taxing recently. You know, my hours, I've been going in early and leaving late, and while I do enjoy working the overtime, the pay is great and all that stuff, it does take a little bit of a toll. So haven't been sleeping great, and I'm a little tired right now. Probably going to go to bed after recording this, but I definitely noticed that I'm stumbling on some words right now, and I try my best to not really stutter or do that during an episode, so I do apologize if you guys noticed that and it bothered you. I will try my best to get my sleep schedule back on track so you don't have to deal with that next episode. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode, and I will talk to you later.
Standing in a glass bowl at the end of a black hole, cold, lost and upside down. Faces vastly.